Okay, welcome back to the channel. So we're on Sweetwater's website, and you can find this consistent pretty much with all the major websites that obviously Native Instruments is trying to move product out of their supply chain. And doing so, we see, at least at face value, some wonderful hardware that they make packaged at a reduced price with a free complete standard software suite, which is an excellent deal, by the way. And the only reason why I'm not buying it, because I really would. I really always wanted to take advantage of buying their software suite since Complete 18. I just never could do it. I was wrapped into another ecosystem with like Spectrasonics and hardware. And you know, I'm an MPC user. And I've always looked at the machine as something that I always wanted to have. I personally feel that they make some of the most sort of the most contemporary, beautiful hardware, quality pieces of hardware, and all of that. So, but even though I haven't bought into their ecosystem, but coming soon, that may change. Now let's just talk a little bit about this, because this prediction on Native Instruments also has a lot to do with where the industry is going as far as the software back end, the subscription model, and of course the integration of hardware and computers. And Roland, I'm going to say, was the first one to sort of do that with the Roland Cloud, and of course the Kai. But this is a little bit different because the competition for this particular space, as we see Korg coming around, and don't forget about Spectrasonics. I'll talk about them in a minute. That really no one has really asserted themselves as sort of the de facto 800-pound gorilla in this next movement, with the exception of Roland. Okay, so now just keep in mind, hear me out. Roland is still selling hardware that's $3,500 to $4,800, if you can consider their Phantom 8, their Jupiter X, so forth and so on. Okay, and I'm going to put this into context in a second. MPCs, for now, they still require the $500 purchase of their little plug-in suite made by Air Instruments, and as of now, it's still $17.99 for the MPCX, but that's because they're trying to move them out of the supply chain. Normally they're $22.99, so that would still put you at $3,000 just to get started with that software suite and basically a blank MPC for the most part. And we know the Kronos, even though that's been discontinued, Korg and those manufacturers still charge a lot of money for their hardware. So let's get back to the Complete, and then we're going to go to Spectrasonics in a minute. So I expect I actually expect the Complete hardware to not be cheap. I expect it to be almost 3 times the price. So if a Complete Control 88, the S88, let's say it was $20.99, I would expect it to at least be $35.99, something like that, with the new hardware. Okay, I do not expect the what we know as Complete 14, the various versions. I do not expect it to be free, by the way. I actually expect it to be either a multi-tiered subscription or a pay-as-you-go a la carte system. I do not expect Complete 14 users that buy this new Complete to be, I don't expect Complete 14 to actually be compatible. I expect Native Instruments to offer sort of a cross-grade at a very affordable price, because it's going to be a whole new ecosystem of software and hardware. I also expect, because the hardware is being depleted from the chain, I also expect a new revolutionary hardware interface, because no one wants to own a Complete S88 that you bought last year and expect to upgrade not even in a year or two to the new software, to the new hardware, if it looks the same. So I expect machine style pads on it, for example. I expect, instead of the 2 screens, I expect actually like a large touch screen with lots of knobs and faders to control the software. I actually expect it to be a whole new revolutionary hardware that can, like I said, run standalone generously. Okay, so we're talking 256 notes of polyphony minimally. Okay, but you're going to pay for it, and you pay a lot for it, okay? Whether that sits really pretty for existing users, and it's a big trick bag that Native Instruments has found themselves into as they go into this new revolutionary product, okay? What I believe. Now, where does Spectrasonics sit in all this? Because they basically have sort of eaten everyone's lunch for the past decade and a half, okay? And right now, their free update with Keyscapes, I mean, and their extensions, which I own only one of them, they're getting to the point where they're getting stagnant. There's only so many sounds that you can really have where they become unmusical to use the interface of the software. So minimally, they have to compete in this space, or else they won't find a way to exist for too much longer. They've got to create minimally a hardware controller that's hardwired into Omnisphere. Minimally. I don't care if the controller doesn't have to be compatible. It doesn't have to control your transport to Studio One. It doesn't have to have all that stuff. But it has to be able to control Omnisphere to make it more musical, to be able to use the software again, and to navigate through thousands and thousands of synth bases, no pun intended. So that's where Spectrasonics sort of fits in. They have to do something because if Native Instruments does kind of put it all together, if you will, if they can manage to do it, they could actually really take the market share away from Akai as well. I mean, all my expansion packs can be converted to NKS. They can be converted to Native Instruments, to Machine. That's another thing. The Machine software. They need to upgrade that too, and they need to make that better as well. So these are all speculations. These are all things sort of like my own sort of personal wishes, but it's coming. It's got to. When you see all these clear outs in all the supply chain stores, we know they got something coming, and we kind of measured where all the other companies sort of fall. Yamaha's in the worst place right now. They're sort of in this zone where they just refuse to look at it any other way. And so I think they're the ones that are going to fall first. They're going to fall the hardest. And Korg doesn't do it right. They could become a victim as well. Roland, I think, is safe. And Akai, again, like I said, you know, I love Akai and all that, but they're not out of the woods, by the way. So hopefully the new firmware at least does something revolutionary, and that they figure out a way out of this MPC XL and really make a next generation platform that they can ride upon. So in other words, in 6 months, I don't want to see an MPC Live XL. Okay, we don't want to see that. We want to see next generation hardware. Until next time, peace out.